Good evening, all of you. Today we are going to start up with early childhood development and psychology, or we can name it as child psychology and development. All right. So this is the fourth module of your lesson. So this is a very short session because we are not going to discuss deep about this chapter. It will be just the brief explanation about childhood development and psychology. Okay, so let's go to the first presentation. The importance of early childhood. So now we are going to explain about the importance of early childhood. But before this, I just want to inform you all uh, to complete the previous notes. I mean, like, you all have to get the hard copies of the previous slides which I have given, and you all have to do a research on each and every topic, right? In each and every slide there are topics, subtopics. You all have to do your own research on each and every subtopic and write your own notes in the slide itself. Okay, so once this pandemic is back to normal, we will be you all have to attend for at least one session on campus, so because we have to do some practical sessions as well. Okay, so I will tell you all to bring the notes which you all have completed. Okay, so you all have to focus on that, and you all have to complete all the notes uh, after each and every session. So you all don't wait until the last moment to collect all the slides together and write the notes. So once we finish a slide every day, on each day, the same day, night, or the next day, you sit in a place and start writing your own notes. Do a research and start writing your own notes. So let's go on with this session, early childhood development and psychology. So the first one is the importance of early childhood. Okay, so let's see. The healthy development of all young children benefits all of society by providing a solid foundation for economic productivity, responsible citizenship, strong communities, and a secure nation. So in this, what they say in three sentences, right, is if the development of a particular child, a young child, that means the early childhood of an individual, if the development is healthy, right? Healthy means if it is like in a if the child is brought up in a very good way during the early periods of the time, child, right? So that affects, that has a lot of effects in the future, right? It has a lot of effects in the future, because by a healthy development of a child, right, it can result in a solid foundation for economic productivity. They can be responsible citizens, right? And such healthily developed young children can result in strong communities and a secure nation as a whole, right? Did you all understand that? Did all of you understand? A healthy development of all young children. That means that means earlier I told you, right? Earlier I explained you all that the infant stage, right? That is the most important stage of the life, right? So that is known as the foundation of a particular person's life. Okay. So now we are discussing about if the early childhood of an individual is healthy, the development is very healthy, so it can result in all these things and it can form a secure nation as a whole, right? So that is what, when we are bringing up children, right, we have to consider all these facts, right? The childhood of a particular child is the most important part of that individual. So that should be I mean, like, it should be very healthy. Okay, so now actually it has been like, most of the parents, right, most of the parents are depending on this technology, right? So you can see even at your home, what happens is, if a young, I mean, like a child doesn't eat, right, the first thing that they do is, can someone of you all tell me, right, if a person, if a mother or father needs to give something to eat for that particular child, and if that child is refusing, what will be the next step taken by the parents? Can someone tell me? Nazla, Mariam, Imara, can one of you tell me?
Giving phone.
Exactly, right? So they first give the phone, and then what they do is they allow the child to eat. So actually that is a very unhealthy development of a child. Okay, so because now they have done a lot of research, okay, by giving the effects, the side effects that can cause uh, within the child's mind. Now in the later slides, I will show you how the brain signals are formed. Okay, so that is what you all have to understand, that the early childhood of an individual is the utmost important part of the lifespan, right, of the entire life of that individual. Okay, so that should be a very healthy, strong development uh, in order to do the development of the nation as a whole. So it can affect all, if you don't, if the child doesn't have a healthy development at young age, right, what happens is it can result in the negative effect of all these, right? It can affect the whole nation later. So always remember, the early childhood, that is the most important part of an individual's life. Let's go to the next slide. Co-concepts of development. Co-concepts of development. Brains are built over time. Neural circuits are wired in a bottom-up sequence, and the capacity of change decreases with age. The interaction of genes and experience shapes the architecture of the developing brain, and a primary active agent is the serve and return nature of children's relationship with the important adults in their life. So what they are explaining here is the core concept of development. Brains are built over time. Neural circuits are wired in a bottom-up sequence, and the capacity for change decreases with age. Right, so here you can see the brains are built over time. So it's not developed overnight, right? Their brains are developed over time. It takes a lot of time. So from younger days to until the adult elderly age, right, brains continuously, they start to develop. The interaction of genes and experience shapes the architecture of the developing brain. So what affects the development of the brain? It is the interaction of the genes. I explained to you during the last class what is a gene, right? A gene is a factor which transmits genetic material, DNA. So genes are present in chromosomes, right, inside the cell. So gene is the factor which transmits genetic information from generation to generation. So the first factor that affects the brain development is genes. The second one is the experience. So people, there is a saying that experience is the best teacher. Okay, so by experience you learn a lot of things. So people, they know there are good, I mean, like for example, just think the mechanics. If you take a vehicle mechanic, okay, so there might be now if you take a mechanical engineer, okay, if you take a mechanical engineer and a mechanic who is working in a garage, right, these two will have quite the same knowledge, but the mechanic who is working in the garage will have more experience. So that person's brain on this subject, on mechanics, will be much more higher than the person who went to the university and studied mechanical engineering. So that is the difference. So one thing is, by experience you can develop your brain, you can build your brain. So many people, they love this experience. That is why they try, the scientists, right, the successful people. For example, I'll tell you one example: Thomas Alva Edison. Who is that? So can someone tell me who is Thomas Alva Edison?
Invented bulb.
Yes, the inventor of, the person who invented the bulb. So actually, there's a saying of his that he has failed 10,000 times. Okay, so actually by failing 10,000 times, what does that mean? So he's gaining an experience which is worthless, which cannot be valued, right? The experience cannot be valued, right, by money or anything. So that experience is what builds the brain. Okay, so this is the most than genes. So this genes means the no many of you all would have seen that even in your schooling time, there might be a student who is quite bright enough to study, right? He or she might be studying well. So when you just go back to their parents, okay, so they might be like in they might be well educated people. Okay, so those genes will be transmitted to the child. Okay, and that is one type, that is one way that the brains could be built. The other one is, as I told you, through experience. Okay, right, let's go to the next. Okay, you can see here the brain growth in early months. Okay, you can see how the brain growth occurs. Can all of you all see this image?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So you can see the newly born baby. This is how the brain grows. These are neural connections. Okay, so the more you experience, the more you learn, this is how gradually the neural connections become stronger and stronger. Okay, so this one you can see in a newly born baby how it is empty, and later after 1 month that baby will be observing, experiencing a lot of things, so that will develop neural connections within the brain. Okay, and it becomes like this, and after 3 months that baby will be experiencing a lot more things. Okay, so it will be like this. After 6 months it will be like this. So gradually with time the brain starts to develop or continues to develop in this manner. Okay, this is how the neural connections are formed. Right, let's go to the next. Early childhood adversity can influence a range of lifelong outcomes. Research on the biology of stress response helps explain some of the underlying reasons for differences in learning, behavior, and physical and mental health. Right. So what they say here is early childhood adversity can influence a range of lifelong outcomes. So now just think, as I told you, the early childhood of a child is the most important stage of an individual's life. That is what I explained to you at the beginning. So during that early childhood, I mean like that time, okay, what happens is like if the parents or if that child has is been affected, it can be due to some or other reason. Like it can be now if that child is neglected, if that child is not looked after, right, if no attention is given to that child. Okay, what they say here is it can lead to a range of lifelong outcomes. It can at the later stages of that particular person's life, it can result in a negative way. Okay, that child can act as a negative person. Okay, he can have several, like that is why I come across some parents, like, okay, I think a couple of years back when I was when I was doing this science and biology classes, right, some parents they come and say that my child is, I mean like, my child is not attentive, right, my child doesn't listen to me. Okay, so O level students, right, O level, A level students, right, they don't listen to me. And some say that okay, they don't sleep at night on time, they wake up late. So all these reasons, okay, all these outcomes are the result of their early childhood being affected in some way. Okay, and you might have seen some people within your family, they don't like to visit some houses, some relatives, right? They don't like to talk to some relatives. Why? Because at during their early childhood, right, they would have had some sort of a bad experience. right? Some sort, it can be verbally, physically, right? Mentally, right? Some sort of a bad effect would have been resulted in such sort of a behavior. Okay, so y'all would have seen this within even within a family. Just when, and also remember, as a psychology student, what you'll have to do is, this is not psychology is not only a subject which is based on theory. Okay, you all have to apply this to the practical life as well. So now we have finished quite a lot of classes, right? So what we all have to do is, you all have to apply this into your practical life. You all cannot be the same person whom you all were earlier, right? I mean, like 6 months back or 1 year back, how you all were. You all have to change your behavior. You all have to change your mental health, mental status, right? The way you all behave, the physical state, that all these things should change. And also, when you are like talking to a person, you should be able to figure out that person's mentality, right? Or the psychology of that person. Okay, so that is the importance of learning a subject like this, right? So by learning this, you all have to apply. Learning is not enough. You all have to apply these uh, things that we learn. You all have to apply to your practical life as well. All right. Okay. The three levels of stress response. These are the three levels of stress response. So these things you all have to study, research in deep, and write their own notes. Now, sometimes when you print this slide, since it has a dark background, when you print these slides, it can be, you won't be able to write it on this slide. So what you can do is, you can write it at the back page of each note. You can write it separately, because in the A4 the back page will be clear, so you can write it at the back. Okay, you have to research. Okay, the three levels of stress response: positive, brief increases in heart rate, mild elevation in stress hormone level; tolerable, serious temporary stress response, buffered by supportive relationships; toxic, prolonged activation of stress response system in the absence of protective relationships. So these are the three types of stress responses. Okay, so this one I will give you as a homework, because that I didn't include any images for you all to just find out. Okay, what is a positive stress response? So usually, most commonly, this is the stress response that comes across uh, within, I mean, like when you're going to achieve something, when you're going to achieve a target, when you're working for yourself, right? This type of stress responses can appear. And this tolerable is also, it's okay. I mean, like, it's not harmful to your body, so it's not much harmful. It's a temporary stress. Okay, that can happen like when there is some misunderstanding between relationships and all these things. That is the tolerable stress response. Okay, buffered by supportive relationships. So it can be buffered, means it can be controlled by some. Now when you are having this type of stresses, tolerable stresses, either your parents can come and support you, or else your spouse can come and support you, your brothers, your sisters, they can, siblings, they can come and give you a support to, in order to minimize that type of stress response. The next one is toxic. Toxic is the harmful stress that comes into your life. Okay, so that is the end of today's slide. Okay, meanwhile, now I'll just go through from the beginning. So the first, we learned about the importance of childhood. Okay, how why the early childhood of an individual is important to that particular individual's future life, as well as to the whole nation. What, if the early childhood of an individual is not good, how will it affect to the latter part of his life? Okay, so we discussed that. The next we discussed is the co-concept of development. That means how the brains develop. What are the factors that affect the development of the brain, the building of the brain? So I told you that genes and experience. The genes and experience, it shapes an architecture. It shapes the architecture of the developing brain. Right. Next one, I explained you about the brain growth from a newborn to 6 months. From newborn to 6 months, how the shapes of the neural transmission, the neural connections, right? The neural connections, you can see how it is how it gradually develops from newly born to a period of 6 months. Next, we explained about the early childhood adversity can influence a range of lifelong outcomes. That means if the early childhood of an individual is not good, what will be the outcomes of it, the harmful, the negative effects of it. Okay, so now what you can do is we explain this, and also we'll explain the stress, the 3 types of levels of stresses. Okay, now what you have to do is I will be just all of you all did you all understand today's slide? Because I want to give you all a small homework. Did you all understand?
Yes, sir.
All right, others?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Now I'll be giving you all a small homework. Okay, so what I have to do is I want each and every one, right, to select 3 people in your family. Okay, y'all have to do this as a project. It will take only 1 or you can take around 4 days, like, okay, you can take around 4 days. By Monday, okay, by Monday you all can submit this project which I'm going to give you now. Okay, you all have to I mean select 3 people within your family. Okay, within your family I want you to select 3 people of different stages of life. Now you have to select a child, right? I mean, like, he or she can be like a very young, and like within 2 years, within 3 years, like, you can select a child. Okay, the next age will be a teenager, right? Between 13 years and 19 years, the second individual. Okay, the next will be an adult above 35 years. Okay, you have to select 3 people. Okay, first you can take 3 half sheets, 3 A4, write their name, write their age. Okay, write their name and write their age, and then I want you to observe and write a comment on these 3 individuals, like how they spend the day. That's a sum. I just need a summary, right? What are their, I mean, like, what are their behaviors, in common, the behaviors that you see in common. Okay, not what they do only for. That's why I'm giving you 3 days time. So I'm giving you 3 days. You observe whether the same behavior is continuing. Okay, don't let them know that you are doing a research on them. Don't inform them, don't give a prior notice to them that you are writing a comment on them. Okay, there is no, I don't want to include any privacy details here, just the common behavior that you could, the visible behavior that you could see. If you take a child, right, of 1 or 2, 3 years old, but you can just note it down in point form. This person, you have to, and also the main thing is you have to write the gender, whether the selected candidate of for your research would be a male or a female. You write the gender first, the name, age, and the gender. Then you can write a small description. Observe it for 3 days. Day 1, you separate the half sheet into 3. Day 1, you write down what are their behavior patterns, what can you observe, right? So day 2, what can you observe? Day 3, what can you observe? So what after you write it down, you better prepare it in the computer. You can make it as a PDF file, and at the bottom write your name, right, and everything, and you have to send it to me personally through the WhatsApp. Okay, so this is your homework which I'm going to give you. By Monday I need it, right? By Monday before 6 p.m. submit it in the group as you all did the previous project. So your marks will be out by tomorrow or day after. I'll be giving you the marks for the previous assignment. So this will be added as a second assignment that I'm giving you. Okay, so prepare those things. So any doubts on that? Do you all have any doubts for today's lesson? Students, do you all have any doubts?
No, sir.
So is the assignment clear to all of you? What you all have to do? Is the assignment clear for
Excuse
your?
me, sir.
Yeah, tell me.
Sir, can you give us some time? We have classes during this week.
Weekend.
During the weekend, you'll have classes.
Yeah.
Okay, so can I give you all till next Wednesday, 6 p.m.? 1 week?
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so you all can submit it by Wednesday, 6 p.m. And if you all have any doubts meanwhile, you all can just drop a WhatsApp message and you all can ask me. So because you all do it to your best, okay? Just don't do it for the sake of doing. Put your full effort, complete effort, and do it in a proper way, because that will improve your talents as well. That we will be able to judge your talents as well by these types of small projects, because in our higher education you will have a lot of research to do, right? So I'm training you to do it from the beginning. Okay, I'm training you to do it from the beginning in a small scale, so that with time you'll gradually improve your skills. So I showed you the images of how the brain develops in that way, right? And that is how we have to develop your brain as well. So little by little we have to increase the work, right? Now after this slide, now next week I'll be giving you a bit more of work, right? I'll be giving you a lot of homework. So what you have to do is, the next time what you can do, you have to manage your time with the other classes. But for this, I mean, like, if you can spend 1 hour a day, that's fine. So next week I'll just give you an extra, like, I'm going to have a small session, like a free training session. Okay, I'll be having a free training session on this time management and all these things. I will share you the I will share you the the advertisement. I will share you the advertisement with regard to that. It's a free training session, so you can share it to your friends as well, on how we are going to manage the time and with our work. That will be very useful to you all. It will be a just 45-minute session. Okay, so I will share with that, and let's stop for today. Is everything clear for you all? Any doubts? You all can openly ask. Are you all clear with today's session?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
sir.
You all have no doubts? Are you sure?
Clear, sir.
Okay, good, very good. Okay, then shall we wind up today's session?
Okay, sir.
Okay, thank you very much then.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Okay.